Hope Martha is doing okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. I have gotten so many lovely comments from folks who are expressing concern and sending well wishes over our little 8-pound dog who is in the ICU right now. Some of you may know that it's only been a matter of weeks since we lost our female standard poodle Athena to lung cancer. She was 11. It was not expected, and she went very, very quickly. You know, you have that one dog that's like your dog. She is kind of like your soulmate pet. That's what Athena was for me, and I've had a really hard time getting over it. And just a couple of weeks later, my daughter B's dog Martha, who actually is my sister's, we shared joint custody with my sister, but she and B are kind of soulmates. She started having intermittent vomiting and diarrhea, and she has a lot of food indiscretion. So Martha was rescued through the Mexi-Mutt project. She was a street dog in Mexico City for about 2 years before she was rescued, and so she'll eat anything. She's very much a little trash panda. And so she frequently will have a little bit of upset tummy because she has eaten something that she shouldn't, or begged for some food that a child should not have given her. But she started losing a little weight, and then she started vomiting in the mornings. And so I made an appointment to take her into our vet this week. She was supposed to go in today to the vet. But then between when I made the appointment on Monday and Tuesday night, she had really gone downhill. She wouldn't eat her dinner. She wouldn't even eat rice with chicken broth on it. And she was clearly looking, as my mom used to say, puny. She did not feel good. And I was going back and forth on whether I should bring her into the vet emergency room. But we made an appointment to bring her in first thing Wednesday morning to our vet in Vancouver, who's a very dear friend of mine and gives like the most amazing veterinary care. So I whisked her up there first thing in the morning, and we did blood work and x-rays. And again, Martha's only like 8 pounds. So think about when you're treating a dog that big, that's like doing neonatal care, right? She's the size of a newborn baby. And my vet was like, I think there might be something in her stomach and maybe in her small intestine, but she's so tiny, and whatever is in there, it's not really easy to see. And so we need to wait for the radiologist reading to come back. And thankfully it came back early. So we took her in at 9 in the morning, and by 4 in the afternoon, it came back, oh, well, she has a foreign body in there and she needs to go have emergency surgery. Like, this cannot wait. And as the afternoon had gone on and I was waiting to hear back, she'd kind of gone downhill even further. Despite the vet having given her sub-Q fluids in the morning and anti-nausea meds, she was still vomiting. I was really, really worried. So we got in the car, and it's like rush hour from Portland up to Vancouver to where the emergency veterinary surgeon is. And we just hopped into that rush hour traffic, and we didn't even wait for the vet to clear her to have a space up there. Like, I just said, we'll hit the road, and then you let us know when they're ready for us to get there. And because of traffic, right, they had heard we were coming before we arrived. And our vet had forwarded all the blood work from the morning, which seemed like it was really normal, but because she deteriorated so fast, the situation had become really dire. So I was already facing like a catastrophically huge vet bill to have emergency surgery. And it became significantly much, much bigger because she became much more critical, and they couldn't actually wait to do the surgery. Instead of, they were going to give her overnight fluids and kind of prep her and get her reconditioned a little bit for surgery the next morning. They said, actually, we need to go in right now. And so they got in there, and part of her small intestine was necrotic. There was a foreign object. The surgeon said she couldn't really tell what it is, like maybe a piece of plastic twine or string. Again, Martha's like this big, so it was just a little thing, but it was wrapped up in human hair, which I think is an issue because she likes to lick things, including her toys. But that she was on the verge of going septic, and they had to remove a portion of her small intestine. So this is a really major surgery. And again, mad props to the surgeon, because this is like doing neonatal surgery. Like, she's working in this tiny, tiny area. It's very precise. And they called me late last night, about 10:30, and said, well, this is a dire situation. She's in critical condition. She is not maintaining her own blood sugar. She has to be on blood pressure medication, and it's really touch and go. We don't know what it's going to look like. If she makes it through the first 48 hours, that's a really, really positive sign. And after she makes it through the first 48 hours, if she makes it through the first 3 to 5 days, she's going to go on to live a normal life. She is not going to have any malabsorption issues. But the concern from the surgeon last night was just that she was in such rough shape. Her body was under a lot of stress, and there was a risk that, right, she got good margins on repairing the intestine, but the concern was whether that would heal or not. And if it didn't heal, if that tissue was not getting enough blood flow, and there was a leak into her abdominal cavity, then And so she said, we just need to wait these first 48 hours and see how she does. So it was really difficult for our family last night. I did not sleep at all. Maybe I dozed off for 15 or 20 minutes here and there, but I was mostly just like wide awake. And so this morning around 8 a.m., I got an update from the staff and said, oh, her condition has been upgraded from critical to stable. She ate food at 3 a.m. She went out for a walk and went pee. Of course, she is a little charmer, and so everyone said she was very cute and very sweet. And the vet said she's made a surprising and dramatic turnaround. So we're cautiously optimistic. Her blood sugars have stabilized. She's off of her blood pressure medication. She's eating, she's peeing. These are all really good signs, especially because she's on a high dose of pain meds, and that tends to suppress their appetite. But even so, she was eating food at 3 a.m. and she also had lunch today as well. About an hour and a half ago, we went up to go visit her, and boy, she looked really good. She looked like she'd been through the ringer. She has a big incision in her abdomen, and she's got an NG tube, and she's clearly lost in the sauce. She was so excited to see us. She was pawing. She was very happy. She kept trying to jump up into my arms. I said, Martha, you have to stay in your hospital bed. We can pet you, but nobody's going to pick you up. She was pawing. Like really, really good signs. I think we're all feeling a little bit better. She's not out of the woods yet. She's still in the ICU. But I just really want to say thanks to all the folks who let me talk about it on my social media and, express my grief and my fear for her well-being, and especially also for my daughter, who's incredibly close with Martha. It looks like at the moment that she's turned a corner, and that's really good, but it's a heavy thing. And when we have normal life circumstances, I talked about this when Athena was on hospice a couple of weeks ago, but when we have normal things that happen in life, like illness and injury and death, that are really stressful, we have those kinds of layers of grief that we can process normally. It's hard enough as it is. It's even harder living in a capitalist hellscape where we often don't get any time off to grieve. We are expected to just keep going to work, right? We're expected, but what am I doing today? I'm working. We're expected to have to continue to act normally, even though we are processing, especially if it's like the death of a loved one, something that takes months and months and months to work through. The grind doesn't stop, the economy doesn't stop, and so we don't get that kind of space to be human beings. It becomes that much harder to deal with grief and sadness and the difficult things of life, because the system is set up for us to be cogs in the machine, not to be human beings living a human experience. And how much more so now with what we're going through at this moment in time. We do not have the bandwidth or the luxury of experiencing grief, of getting to work through all of those emotions. So much of what we're going through has already sapped from us all of our bandwidth, all of our emotional energy, all of our fortitude. And we just don't have the capacity, right? Normal things that happen in life, which would already be grief-inducing, really feel like the straw that breaks the camel's back. They feel so much bigger because we have so few reserves right now. We don't even have to talk about the active harm that this regime is causing, the ways that they are causing actual suffering and death and subsequent grief, and the way that we are right now living in a constant state of grief as we are grieving for the lives that we had just a few months ago, the future we should have had this regime not come to power. The loss of our plans and hopes and goals, and the having to reorient ourselves to fight a very difficult fight that we were not anticipating. That in and of itself is a lot. How much of our peace and our future and our prosperity has Trump already stolen from us? And now to add to it, the way that he is depriving us of the ability to experience grief and sadness in a normal, healthy human way, to process those emotions. Yes, I didn't sleep last night, but I don't really have the luxury of crying over Martha. I don't have the luxury of taking a break. I don't have the luxury of sitting with my feelings. There's a lot of shit that has to get done. And I have a significant amount of resentment. I didn't get to grieve the loss of my mother in 2020 because of COVID and the way that Trump was mishandling all of that. I didn't really get to grieve the loss of Athena a number of weeks ago. And this right here, I just have got to turn off the emotions a little bit. I think at the end of all of this, the amount of rage that I am going to feel over the laundry list of ways that Trump has harmed us in huge and small ways, in very outsized, extravagant ways, and in really mundane ways. All I can say is that I hope there's accountability for him and everybody who supported and collaborated with him. And thank you again for all of your kind wishes for Martha. It really means more than I can say. And as of right now, she's on the mend.